If you are over 70 years old and you have been waking up with stiff joints, unexplained back pain, or you have noticed that you seem to be shrinking just a little bit each year, I need you to pay very close attention to what I am about to share with you. Because there is one fruit, just one simple fruit, that when eaten before bed could be quietly transforming the health of your bones while you sleep. And the science behind this is absolutely fascinating. But here is what concerns me. Most people over 70 have never even heard about this. In fact, many of my own patients were doing everything they thought was right, taking their calcium supplements, drinking their milk, trying to stay active, and yet their bone density scans kept showing decline year after year. It was not until we made this one small change to their nighttime routine that things started to turn around. I am Dr. Sophia Reynolds, and I have spent over 25 years specializing in geriatric medicine and metabolic bone health. In my clinical practice, I have worked with thousands of patients who came to me terrified of fractures, worried about osteoporosis, and desperate for answers that actually work. And what I have learned over these decades has completely changed how I approach bone health in seniors. Before we go any further, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, I really encourage you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another health tip made specifically for you. And if you find this information helpful, please leave your suggestions and questions in the comments below. I read every single one of them, and your feedback helps me create more videos that can help people just like you. Now, let me tell you about the fruit that has been making such a remarkable difference for my patients. It is the prune. Yes, the humble dried plum that your grandmother probably kept in her kitchen. But before you dismiss this as just another old wives' tale, let me explain the incredible science behind why prunes eaten before bed could be one of the most powerful natural tools for protecting your bones. You see, your bones are not static structures. They are living, dynamic tissues that are constantly being broken down and rebuilt in a process called bone remodeling. During the day, when you are active and stressed and dealing with life, your body tends to break down more bone than it builds. But at night, when you are sleeping, something magical happens. Your body shifts into repair mode. Growth hormone levels rise, inflammation decreases, and your bones have the opportunity to rebuild and strengthen themselves. This is where prunes become so powerful. Prunes contain a unique combination of nutrients and compounds that specifically support this nighttime bone-building process. They are rich in vitamin K, which is absolutely essential for activating the proteins that help calcium bind to your bones. They contain boron, a trace mineral that most people have never even heard of, but which plays a critical role in how your body uses calcium and vitamin D. And they are packed with polyphenols, powerful plant compounds that have been shown to reduce the activity of cells that break down bone while stimulating the cells that build new bone. Let me tell you about one of my patients who experienced this firsthand. Her name was Mrs. Eleanor Patterson, a 78-year-old retired librarian from Portland, Oregon. Eleanor had been diagnosed with osteoporosis 5 years before she came to see me. Her bone density scores were concerning, and she had already experienced one compression fracture in her spine that left her with chronic pain and a slight stoop in her posture. Eleanor told me that she felt like she was slowly disappearing. Every time she looked in the mirror, she seemed a little shorter than she remembered. Her clothes hung differently on her frame. She was terrified of falling, so she had stopped going to the garden club meetings she loved because she was afraid of navigating the uneven paths around the botanical gardens. Her world was shrinking along with her bones. When I suggested adding 5 to 6 prunes before bed to her nightly routine, Eleanor looked at me like I had lost my mind. She said she had been expecting me to prescribe some expensive new medication, not tell her to eat dried fruit. But I explained the research to her, showed her the studies, and asked her to trust me for 3 months. Eleanor called my office after just 6 weeks. She said she was sleeping better than she had in years. The chronic ache in her back had diminished noticeably, and when we did her follow-up bone density scan at the 1-year mark, her scores had improved for the first time in over a decade. She cried in my office that day. She told me she had gotten her hope back. Now, The timing of when you eat these prunes matters more than most people realize. Your body operates on circadian rhythms, internal clocks that regulate everything from hormone production to cellular repair. The bone-building processes I mentioned earlier are most active during the deeper stages of sleep, typically occurring in the first half of the night. By eating prunes about 1 to 2 hours before bed, you give your body time to digest and absorb the nutrients, so they are available right when your bones need them most. If you are still watching and finding this information valuable, I would love it if you could take a moment to type the number 1 in the comments below. It helps me know that this content is reaching the people who need it, and it encourages me to keep sharing these important health insights with you. But let me tell you about another compound in prunes that makes them so special for bone health. It is called chlorogenic acid, and it is one of the most potent polyphenols found in nature. Chlorogenic acid has been shown in multiple studies to suppress the formation and activity of osteoclasts, which are the cells responsible for breaking down bone tissue. At the same time, it appears to enhance the function of osteoblasts, the cells that build new bone. This dual action is remarkable because most interventions only address one side of the equation. I had a patient named Mr. William Chen, an 82-year-old retired engineer from San Francisco who had spent his career building bridges. He used to joke that now his own structure was the one falling apart. William had developed severe osteoporosis following years of taking corticosteroid medications for a lung condition. Steroids are notorious for destroying bone density, and William had paid a heavy price. When William first came to see me, he was using a walker and had already broken his wrist twice from minor falls. His wife Margaret was exhausted from worry. She barely slept because she was afraid he might get up in the night and fall without her there to help. Their golden years had become years of fear and limitation. I started William on a comprehensive bone health protocol that included the prune intervention. He was skeptical at first, as most engineers tend to be, but he appreciated that I could explain the biochemistry behind the recommendation. William kept a detailed log, because that is just who he was, tracking his energy levels, his pain, his sleep quality, everything. After 4 months, William reported something unexpected. His grip strength had improved noticeably. He could open jars again, something that had become impossible for him. His physical therapist commented that his balance seemed better during their sessions, and while we knew it would take longer to see changes on a bone density scan, William said he felt stronger. He felt like himself again. Now, I want to address something important. When I tell my patients about prunes, the first concern many of them raise is about the sugar content. And this is a valid concern, especially for those managing diabetes or watching their blood sugar levels. But here is what the research actually shows. Despite containing natural sugars, prunes have a relatively low glycemic index, which means they do not cause the rapid blood sugar spikes you might expect. The fiber in prunes slows down the absorption of sugar, and some studies have actually shown that regular prune consumption does not negatively impact blood sugar control in diabetics. That said, I always recommend starting with a smaller portion, perhaps 3 prunes initially, and monitoring how your body responds. You can gradually increase to 5 or 6 prunes as tolerated. And of course, anyone with specific dietary concerns should discuss this with their own healthcare provider, who knows their complete medical history. Let me share another fascinating aspect of why prunes are so effective. Your gut health and your bone health are intimately connected in ways that scientists are only beginning to fully understand. The gut microbiome, that community of trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays a crucial role in nutrient absorption, inflammation control, and even hormone regulation. Prunes are an excellent prebiotic food, meaning they feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut. When these good bacteria thrive, they produce short-chain fatty acids that have been shown to support bone density. They help regulate inflammation throughout your body, and they improve the absorption of minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc that are essential for bone health. Mrs. Dorothy Wilson was a 74-year-old grandmother from Atlanta, Georgia, who had been struggling with digestive issues for years. She had chronic constipation, bloating, and discomfort that made her reluctant to eat much of anything. When I examined her bone density, I was not surprised to find significant osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis. Her poor gut health had likely been impairing her nutrient absorption for decades. Dorothy started eating prunes before bed, not primarily for her bones, but because she was desperate for relief from her digestive problems. Within 2 weeks, her constipation had improved dramatically. She was more comfortable, more willing to eat nutritious foods, and her energy levels increased. But the real surprise came a year later when her bone density scan showed improvement. Dorothy told me that she had expected to keep declining, that she had accepted that as her fate. Seeing those numbers go up instead of down gave her a new lease on life. The potassium content of prunes is another often overlooked factor in bone health. Most people associate potassium with heart health and blood pressure, but this mineral is absolutely critical for maintaining bone density. When your body is too acidic, which can happen from stress, certain medications, or dietary factors, your bones release calcium to help neutralize that acid. Over time, this can lead to significant bone loss. Potassium helps maintain proper acid-base balance in your body, reducing the need for this calcium leaching process. Just 5 or 6 prunes provide a substantial amount of potassium to support this protective mechanism. If this information is resonating with you, take a moment to hit that like button. It really does help this video reach more people who could benefit from learning about this simple approach to bone health. Now I want to talk about something that many of my patients find surprising: the connection between bone health and sleep quality. Poor sleep is incredibly common in people over 70. Maybe you have trouble falling asleep, or you wake up multiple times during the night, or you just never feel truly rested. What many people do not realize is that poor sleep directly impacts bone health. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which is essential for bone formation and repair. Chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep quality means less growth hormone, which means less bone building. Prunes contain natural compounds that may actually support better sleep. They contain small amounts of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. They also contain tryptophan, an amino acid that your body uses to produce serotonin and melatonin. Several of my patients have reported improved sleep quality after adding prunes to their bedtime routine, and I believe this sleep enhancement provides additional benefits for bone health beyond the direct nutritional effects. Mr. Robert Anderson was a 76-year-old retired police officer from Chicago who had struggled with insomnia since retiring from the force. Years of shift work had disrupted his circadian rhythms, and he often found himself wide awake at 3 a.m, his mind racing. He had tried various sleep medications but did not like how they made him feel the next day. His wife complained that he was becoming increasingly irritable from exhaustion. When Robert started eating prunes before bed, he did not expect much. But within a few weeks, he noticed something changing. He was falling asleep more easily. He was waking up less frequently during the night, and the quality of his sleep seemed deeper, more restorative. His wife noticed the change before he did. She said he seemed calmer, more patient, more like the man she had married 40 years ago. When I explained to Robert that his improved sleep was also helping his bones, he was genuinely amazed at how connected everything in the body truly is. Let me address the question of how many prunes you should actually eat. The research that has shown the most consistent benefits for bone health has typically used somewhere between 5 and 12 prunes per day. For most of my patients, I recommend starting with 5 prunes eaten about 1 to 2 hours before bed. This amount provides the beneficial nutrients without overwhelming the digestive system or adding too many calories to the diet. Some people work up to 6 or 8 prunes over time, but I generally advise against consuming more than 10 to 12 prunes daily, as this could cause digestive discomfort in some individuals. The quality of the prunes matters as well. I recommend choosing prunes that are organic when possible, and that do not contain added sugars or preservatives. Some commercial prunes are treated with sulfites to preserve their color, and some people are sensitive to these compounds. Look for prunes that are soft and moist rather than overly dry, as the moisture content can affect both digestibility and nutrient availability. Mrs. Helen Martinez was a 73-year-old artist from Santa Fe, New Mexico, who had always been particular about what she put into her body. She had been a vegetarian for over 40 years and was very conscious of food quality. When she developed osteopenia, she was determined to address it through natural means rather than medication. Helen researched prunes extensively before starting them, selecting organic California prunes from a family farm she had read about online. Helen incorporated 5 prunes into her evening ritual, eating them along with a cup of chamomile tea while she reviewed her sketches from the day. She said it became almost meditative, a moment of quiet nourishment before sleep. After 2 years of this consistent practice, combined with other supportive measures we had discussed, Helen's bone density had improved enough that she no longer met the criteria for osteopenia. She told me that she felt like she was aging in reverse, that her body was regenerating rather than deteriorating. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you. Prunes alone are not a magic solution. Bone health is complex and depends on many factors working together. Regular weight-bearing exercise is absolutely essential for stimulating bone formation. Adequate vitamin D is crucial for calcium absorption. Getting enough protein supports the collagen matrix that gives bones their flexibility. Managing stress matters because chronic stress raises cortisol, which is devastating for bone health. And avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol consumption is critical because both of these significantly accelerate bone loss. What prunes offer is a simple, accessible, and evidence-supported addition to a comprehensive bone health approach. They are not meant to replace other interventions, but to enhance them. They are a tool, not a cure. But they are a remarkably effective tool that far too many people overlook. Mr. James Thompson was an 80-year-old retired teacher from Boston who came to me after his wife passed away from complications following a hip fracture. He was determined not to suffer the same fate. James was already doing many things right. He walked every day, he took his supplements, he had quit smoking decades ago, but he wanted to know what else he could do to protect himself. When I told James about prunes, he smiled and said his mother had always kept prunes in the house. He had not thought about them in years. That night, James bought his first bag of prunes since childhood. He ate them before bed as I instructed, and he said the taste brought back memories of his mother's kitchen, of feeling safe and cared for. That emotional connection, that sense of nurturing himself the way his mother had nurtured him, became as important to James as the physical benefits. He told me he was finally taking care of himself the way his wife would have wanted him to. The anti-inflammatory properties of prunes deserve special attention. Chronic inflammation is one of the biggest threats to bone health as we age. It accelerates bone breakdown, impairs bone formation, and creates an environment where fractures become more likely. Prunes contain multiple compounds with potent anti-inflammatory effects. The polyphenols, the vitamin K, the various phytonutrients all work together to reduce inflammatory markers in the body. Some of my patients have reported improvements in joint pain and stiffness after adding prunes to their routine, which suggests these anti-inflammatory benefits extend beyond just the bones. Mrs. Patricia Davis was a 79-year-old former dance teacher from Miami who had arthritis in addition to osteoporosis. Her joints ached constantly, making it difficult for her to move with the grace that had defined her career. Patricia had tried numerous anti-inflammatory medications, but they upset her stomach and she worried about the long-term effects on her kidneys. When Patricia started eating prunes before bed, she noticed within a month that her morning stiffness was less severe. She could get out of bed more easily. Her hands, which had become so painful that she had stopped playing piano, felt more flexible. Patricia started playing again, just simple songs at first, but it brought her such joy. She said the prunes had given her back music, and that was worth more than any medication could provide. I want to emphasize something critically important. While prunes can be a wonderful addition to your bone health routine, they should never replace professional medical care. If you have been diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia, please continue working with your healthcare provider. If you are taking medications for bone health, do not stop them without medical guidance. Prunes are meant to complement medical treatment, not substitute for it. Some medications can interact with compounds in prunes, particularly blood thinners, due to the vitamin K content. If you take warfarin or similar medications, please consult your doctor before adding prunes to your daily routine. They may need to monitor your medication levels more closely as you make this dietary change. Let me leave you with some practical guidance on how to incorporate this into your life. Choose a consistent time in the evening, ideally 1 to 2 hours before you plan to go to sleep. Start with 5 prunes and see how your body responds. Eat them slowly, chewing thoroughly to aid digestion. You can eat them plain, or some people like to pair them with a small handful of walnuts, which provide additional bone-supporting omega-3 fatty acids. Make it a ritual, a moment of intentional self-care at the end of each day. Keep a simple journal if you like. Note any changes you observe in your sleep quality, your energy levels, your digestion, any aches or pains. These observations can be valuable when you discuss your bone health with your doctor. And be patient. Bone remodeling is a slow process. It may take several months or even a year before you see measurable changes on a bone density scan. But the protective effects begin immediately, with every prune you eat. The beautiful thing about this approach is its simplicity. You do not need expensive equipment or complicated regimens. You do not need to remember to take pills at specific times with specific foods. You just need a bag of prunes and the commitment to eat a few each evening before bed. In a world where health advice often feels overwhelming and inaccessible, this is something anyone can do. I have seen the difference this makes in my patients' lives. I have seen fear transform into confidence, decline reverse into improvement, and resignation give way to hope. Your bones are capable of responding to the right support, even at 70, even at 80, even beyond. It is never too late to take action. As you go forward from this video, I encourage you to talk with your own doctor about what we have discussed today. Bring up prunes and bone health at your next appointment. Ask for a bone density scan if you have not had one recently. Take an active role in protecting your skeletal health because you deserve to move through your golden years with strength and confidence. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this information valuable, please share it with someone you love who might benefit: a spouse, a sibling, a friend who worries about their bones. And remember to subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based health guidance designed specifically for you. Your bones have carried you through a lifetime of experiences. Now it is time to give them the support they need to carry you through many more wonderful years ahead. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. But before you go, let me share one more story that I think captures why this matters so much. Mrs. Margaret Sullivan was an 81-year-old grandmother from Denver, Colorado, who had raised 5 children and now had 12 grandchildren. Her greatest joy in life was getting down on the floor to play with those grandchildren, building block towers and playing with dolls and crawling around pretending to be various animals. But osteoporosis had made her terrified of getting down on the floor. What if she could not get back up? What if she fell and broke something? She had started sitting in a chair watching her grandchildren play instead of joining them. Margaret's daughter brought her to see me after noticing how sad her mother seemed during family gatherings. When Margaret told me about giving up floor play with her grandchildren, I could see how much it hurt her. This was not just about bone density numbers on a scan. This was about a grandmother losing connection with the people she loved most. We started Margaret on a comprehensive approach that included the nightly prune routine. She was diligent and consistent, never missing an evening. She also started gentle strength exercises and made sure she was getting adequate vitamin D. Over the course of 18 months, her confidence slowly returned along with her bone density improvements. The last time I saw Margaret, she showed me a video on her phone. It was her, on the floor, surrounded by grandchildren, laughing as they climbed all over her like she was a jungle gym. She had tears in her eyes when she showed me. She said those prunes had given her back her grandchildren. She said they had given her back her life. That is what bone health really means. It is not about numbers on a scan, though those matter. It is about the life you get to live, the moments you get to share, the love you get to express through physical presence and engagement. Strong bones mean you can hug your loved ones without fear. You can walk through a garden without anxiety. You can dance at a wedding, pick up a grandchild, live fully in your body for as long as possible. I also want to mention something about the mineral content of prunes that we have not fully discussed. Beyond potassium, prunes contain meaningful amounts of magnesium, which is another mineral critical for bone health that many older adults are deficient in. Magnesium works alongside calcium to give bones their structure. Without adequate magnesium, even if you are getting plenty of calcium, your bones cannot properly incorporate that calcium into their matrix. Prunes provide a natural food source of magnesium that is well absorbed and utilized by the body. Additionally, prunes contain copper and manganese, trace minerals that support the collagen network within bones. Collagen provides flexibility and resilience to bone tissue. Without it, bones become brittle and prone to fracture. The trace minerals in prunes help support the enzyme systems that build and maintain this collagen structure. Mr. Frank Peterson was a 77-year-old retired farmer from Kansas City who had worked outdoors his entire life. Despite his active history, years of sun exposure without protection had left him with vitamin D deficiency, and his bone density had suffered accordingly. Frank was a practical man who preferred food solutions to pill solutions. When I told him about prunes, it made sense to him in a way that supplements never had. Frank started eating his prunes each night after dinner, right around the time the sun was setting, as he sat on his porch watching the sky change colors. He said it felt like a natural part of winding down from the day. His wife joined him, and they turned it into a ritual they shared together, a quiet moment of connection before the evening settled in. After a year of consistent prune consumption along with appropriate vitamin D supplementation, Frank's bone density had stabilized for the first time in years. He told me that he felt like he was investing in his future, like each prune was a small deposit in a bone health savings account that would pay dividends as he continued aging. The research supporting prunes for bone health continues to grow stronger each year. Scientists are discovering more mechanisms by which these simple dried fruits support skeletal health. New studies are exploring optimal dosing, timing, and combinations with other interventions. But you do not need to wait for perfect science to take action. The evidence we have right now is strong enough to warrant making this simple addition to your nightly routine. Remember, your bones respond to the signals you send them through nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. Every prune you eat sends a message to your skeletal system that you value it, that you are providing the resources it needs to stay strong. And your bones will respond in kind, maintaining their density and strength so you can continue living the life you deserve. I believe deeply in the power of simple interventions consistently applied. You do not need to overhaul your entire life to support your bone health. You just need to make small, sustainable changes that add up over time. Eating prunes before bed is exactly that kind of change. It is easy, it is affordable, it is evidence-based, and it is something you can start tonight. So tonight, when you are getting ready for bed, think about reaching for a few prunes. Think about all those hard-working osteoblasts that will be building new bone while you sleep. Think about the inflammatory processes that will be calmed, the minerals that will be deposited, the structure that will be strengthened. And think about all the tomorrows those stronger bones will allow you to enjoy. Your future self will thank you for the care you take today. Now go take care of those bones, and I will see you in the next video.